Good afternoon. Thank you. On behalf of Wake Forest University and the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, for remembering with us, for commemorating the enslaved individuals forever connected to founding, building, and sustaining Wake Forest College. Today marks the 6th time Wake Forest has paused to remember the more than 57 children, women, and men who were either sold to benefit Wake Forest College, toiled against their will to build Wake Forest College, or were assigned to work for Wake Forest College students and faculty without compensation for their labor. As current and former students, staff, and faculty here today, you challenge all Wake Foresters, past, present, and future, to remember all of our founders, to pay homage to all who cultivated the places and the spaces that serve as the physical origins of this institution. Your interest in attending this commemoration also affirms the work of our staff, our faculty, and our students actively contributing to initiatives such as the Slave, Race, and Memory Project, the University Archives, and the Wake Forest Historical Museum. Furthermore, your presence in this space and the aforementioned work of current Wake Foresters helps intentionally weave the names of the enslaved we are about to read into the fabric of our Wake Forest. And finally, as individuals focused on not forgetting our past, just as the sociology and divinity students and faculty who established this event in May of 2019, you encourage our collective society to embark on its own knowledge-seeking endeavors. Ultimately, this gathering invites us to pause, to reflect, and to listen to the voices of those who shall not, cannot be forgotten. Thank you for helping us remember today, and thank you again for being a part of today's commemoration of the enslaved. I now invite Dr. Melva Sampson to offer an invocation.
In my social location, in my faith tradition, we often hum a line that simply says, "We need you. Oh, how we need you." We are indeed in red and hot critical times, and I invite you in this most solemn moment to take whatever posture you are accustomed to that will allow you to calm your heart, to quiet your spirit, and to join as one. As we gather today to commemorate the enslaved at Wake Forest College, we come with heavy hearts, acknowledging the deep pain and injustice that has occurred on this sacred ground. We recognize the auction block as a vile site of human depravity, where the trafficking of particular flesh was a crime against humanity. We lift up prayers of remembrance for those whose lives were stolen, whose humanity was denied, and whose voices were silenced. Grant us, Creator, the courage to confront the truth of our history, to acknowledge slavery as a problematic part of this institution's past, and to commit ourselves to the pursuit of justice, compassion, and reconciliation. Help us to see beyond the commodification of enslaved bodies and recognize them as divine people, deserving of dignity, respect, and remembrance. We ask for your assistance as we strive to move forward with justice-centered compassion, rooted in the recognition of the humanity of all people. Guide us in our efforts to right the wrongs of history, to humanize the enslaved, and to plant new roots of inclusivity, equity, and equality amongst all Wake Forest University constituents. And as we reflect on this commemoration, may it serve as a catalyst for broader conversations about justice and reconciliation, both within our university community and beyond. Help us to connect our struggles with those of others around the world, from the Middle East to Haiti to Congo to Sudan, from Boston Thurman to East Winston. May we confess our wrongs and admit our complicity and strive to move forward with clear sight and renewed commitment to justice. Amen.
Today, we remember the enslaved individuals who were sold by or rented out to work for Wake Forest College, the institution that became Wake Forest University. We do so moved by a sense of justice and by a commitment to a more equitable commemoration, and through the use of archival records that have been passed down through the university over the course of its life. We remember and say the names of all of the individuals we know, and we acknowledge those whose names we do not yet know. The search for their names continues, as does the work to acknowledge and repair our past. We remember in the hope that doing so is another step forward on our journey towards reconciliation in our communities. At the end of each section, the reader will say, "We remember and honor you." We would ask that you all as an audience then respond with the same words. An 1834 Wake Forest College account book shows that 4 enslaved Black people were rented that year. The names of those who labored as recorded were Ellick, Harry and wife, and Charlotte. As student numbers grew, more enslaved Black people were rented for labor from local slave owners. We know from other archival records dating from 1835 the names of 13 enslaved people who also labored at Wake Forest. Their names are Johnson, Anderson, James, Linder, Mary, Sarah, Phyllis, Mary, Lucy, Venus, Patience, Mary, and George. We remember and honor you.
Good afternoon. My name is Dwight Lewis. I'm an Associate Athletic Director for Student Athlete Development, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Other records have shown that 16 enslaved Black people were rented from their owners in 1836. Their names are Murphy, Ted and Amy Jones, and 2 children. Rose, Martha, Lexi, Mary Sherwood, Aggie and her children, Miranda, Mary Harris, David, and Anderson. We remember and honor you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jackson Butler, and I currently serve as the president of the student body. In 1835, 4 enslaved laborers worked to construct the college building. 2 of them were killed in a fall during the construction. There is no known record of their names. Remember those 2 men whose names we do not yet know. We also remember an enslaved person who labored as a custodian in the college building. Numerous enslaved Black people were hired for this role during the remaining antebellum period. We remember Verton and other college servants whose names we do not yet know. In the 1840s, 2 enslaved Black women, Betty and Inez, were sold, and the proceeds of their sale were given to the college. We remember Betty, and we remember Inez. We remember and honor you.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Stephanie Carter Atkins. I'm the Executive Director of Residence Life and Housing and the outgoing President for the Staff Advisory Council. Before the Civil War, Wake Forest received a major request that included land, homes, and enslaved Black people. An auction of the enslaved was held on May 7, 1860, and the proceeds were used to start the college's first endowment. We remember Harvey, Tom, Venus and Child, Mary, Emma, Lettuce, Isaac, Jim, Lucy, Caroline, Pompey, Emma, Nancy, Harriet and her child, Joseph, Harry, Anne and her 2 children, Thomas, and Mary. There are gaps in any archival record, and there remain sources in our own archives that have not yet been uncovered. Our work to discover and honor enslaved Black people who worked for Wake Forest College continues. We remember those individuals whose names we do not yet know. We remember and honor you.
This concludes our commemoration. I'd like to thank you, Dr. Sampson, Associate Vice President Roman Isler, Director Lewis, Student Body President Butler, and Dean and Executive Director Carter Atkins for the tenor and the tone of your contributions to today's program. I would also like to thank Sean Elliott and Chris Glenn, Elise Ashline, and Shannon Dubison for planting and implementing today's event. And finally, I would like to thank Sean McClure for his beautiful musical performance. And I'd like to preemptively thank Anthony Tang for his forthcoming rendition of Lift Every Voice and Sing on the carillon. I wish you all a good and safe evening.